sorting through AAC apps. We're going to get started in just a second. We're letting a few people in. We've got quite a large group today, so Liz is going to let people in. I am Laura Martinez. I am the Assistive Technology Program Manager at Task. And we are joined by, of course, our guest speaker, Bernadette Kennard from Trinity Consulting, and running the board is Elizabeth Ortega, our Assistive Technology Specialist. We ready to go, Liz?
Yes.
Okay. Next slide, please. So Task is a nonprofit parent training and information center. We serve Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Imperial counties. We are, again, a parent training and information center and also a family empowerment center. Next slide. Our mission is to educate and empower people with disabilities and their families. Next. So these are some of the types of services that Task offers. Our main thing that we do is training and information for parents, caregivers, and professionals on navigating the special education system and also on assistive technology. We provide one-on-one consultations over the phone and then right now through Zoom or through email. All of these other services, including coping strategies, disability awareness, and then information on a slew of different things, including the IEP, Section 504, and transition services. We have, if you have questions regarding special education, you can call our family support specialists and somebody will get back to you. We have tons of information and referrals, and we have our tech center in Brea. Next. Yeah. So our tech center provides many services. Although we're located in Brea, we provide our services through Zoom, online, and yeah. So we can provide these services. So we offer assistive technology workshops on many topics or webinars right now. We provide individualized lab appointments through Zoom. We have our AT and AAC consultations and clinics. We have a social and life skills group called Tech Connection, which meets once a month. The AAC services we provide are through our program Project Communicate, and that through Project Communicate, you can get a free 1-hour AAC consultation with our contracted speech pathologist, which is the lovely Bernadette here that's speaking today. We do not provide AAC or AT assessments. They're simply consultations, and we have tons of information and resources. All services are by appointment, so if you're interested, Liz is going to put our email addresses and contact information in our chat, but we will also be sending out copies of the slides from today, which will have all the information. Next slide, please. So just again, since we're in a different world now, the COVID world, we're providing all of our services through telephone, through email, and through Zoom. Wanted to point out, whoops, that's okay. Wanted to point out that our Task website has tons of resources information on there for you. If you're not aware or don't already subscribe to our Tech Tidbits newsletter, it goes out monthly, and I typically just focus on different types of assistive technology that are new or free or interesting. So wanted to tell you a little bit about our presenter, Bernadette. So she's originally from Las Cruces, New Mexico, and she's been working in the area of AAC since the early 90s. She's worked in skilled nursing facilities and the K through transition population in public as well as private schools, various adult day programs, as well as regional centers. Bernadette founded Trinity Consulting, an AAC consultation company, in 2011. And through Trinity, she provides therapeutic, evaluative, and educational services in a variety of settings. Bernadette joined Task as an AAC consultant in 2015, originally through a grant I had written, and we kept her on because she's awesome. And Bernadette is also a dedicated wife and mother of 3. Her life quote is, "Giving words the world can hear."
Okay. Ready?
Go, girl.
All right. Let's jump in. I love this screenshot as I started because it really gives you a quick look at, wow, there are so many different apps on the market today. And this is not all of them, but this is just an ideal of what we are jumping into and how complex it can be, which is why it's helpful to have workshops like this to help us kind of sort through and think about how communication apps are organized. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some of the more popular apps, the features that they have that make them similar, and the features that make them different from one another. So we understand that the platforms and understand the platforms that they come from. Okay, so we'll be looking at some apps that cover each of the platforms out there available. I'm speaking specifically about, of course, the iOS platform available through the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, which is the Android platform, and we also have some apps that are available on Amazon as well. They also have communication apps. So we'll cover a little bit of all of that. I'm going to be demonstrating the apps on my iPad, and we'll divide it into sections. I'll tell you more as we get going. Before we do that, I want you to be able to think just a little bit about how language is represented in AAC systems. There's 4 basic ways. Language is huge, but really no matter what it looks like on the outside, it's going to cover one of these 4 methods of representing language. The first, of course, coding and gestures. Very simple, often used most by individuals that have really severe physical impairments, things such as eye blinks or hand squeezes. Sometimes people develop code systems for that. There are individuals that use eye gaze, and coding with eye gaze is very common. For example, letters A through D equals 1 and E through H equals 2. People spell using coding systems as well. Those are usually more restrictive to light tech. We're going to focus today on tablet established systems, which use the other 3: single meaning pictures, multiple meaning pictures, and alphabet or spelling. So let's talk about each of those. Single meaning pictures are just that. One picture equals 1 word. So we look at the picture here, a picture of an orange. That's all it would mean, would be an orange in single meaning pictures. Nothing more, nothing less. However, if we were using multiple meaning pictures, then this orange could represent different things. In this slide, we're looking at a screenshot from a communication app that does use multiple meaning pictures. Some of you may have heard of the term semantic compaction or sequencing. This term really means that when you put pictures together to form words or phrases, you get a new meaning. One picture can mean different things when it's paired with other pictures. So on the screen, you can see there's a circle around the word live. When I touch that button, I get the word live. But as I'm sequencing within this particular system, after I hit the word live, I also now have access to other words, the word key, the word house, the word home, words that are related. But I have to sequence those 2 buttons together to get the new word. Hopefully that makes sense. I am going to say that this is a little unusual for me because I'm really used to getting audience feedback. So I'm wondering if maybe we can, if I ask a question, if we can get a response in the chat, we'll kind of fill that out as we go along the way, because I want to stay connected with everyone, okay? The other way language is represented is through text or through spelling. This is obviously a text-based system. You would need to have some literacy skills to be able to utilize this system with the word boards across the top, but then also having access to a keyboard. This app is called Verbally. It's been on the market for a really long time. Interary is the creator of this particular app, and it gives you the best of both worlds in terms of text and keyboard access. This is the final example of text-based systems, the fourth way to represent language in AAC systems. And this is a spelling board with literally just that. You get a keyboard and you get this triangle here to speak what you type. It's also a free app available on iOS, which it does what it says. It's called text-to-speech, and that's really all that it does. You can type in text and you get speech. So there is a benefit from that. It gets us close to Snug. I don't know if anyone's heard of Snug. We can get thumbs up. If I open up my grid view, maybe I can see. I want to just be able to see everyone. I might be asking you for a thumbs up or a thumbs down, just to kind of help me know that we're connecting with one another. Okay, for those of you that choose to share your screen. Okay, so let's talk into our categories. There are so many different apps. What I've tried to do is organize them according to 3 broad categories. I don't know if you're a boxing fan, but it makes sense to me to shape them as such, to categorize them by lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight apps. Okay, so our lightweight apps are apps that are quite often free, limited in their vocabulary. Let me go ahead and go to this next screen and we'll go it this way. Okay, so a small to medium vocabulary. Some of you might be saying, well, exactly what does that mean? I'm going to define that briefly by just saying a small vocabulary in terms of AAC apps is anything basically under 500 words. Okay, so the size of the vocabulary for apps within this group will fluctuate quite a bit, but typically you're not going to find many of them more than 500 words. Limited or no editing privileges. These particular apps allow you to change some things, but not very many things. Okay. Unable to save modifications off of the iPad. And as you see, as we get into more of the apps, that really is becomes more important when you have lots of options of things to change. Okay, may or may not have a voice output. Believe it or not, there are some apps you'll find on iOS in particular that give you the light version, and this means that you can explore the app. You can see how it works and navigates and how you edit it, but they don't give you the voice option. They just figured, I guess, that would be sufficient for some people, and particularly before you invest your money into it. Additional features of lightweight apps. Quite often you'll see it's written as a trial version. So a trial version can mean a couple of different things. Most often the trial version means that you get all of the features of the app for a limited time, or you just don't get all of the features. That's the paid version. Usually it's a free version, usually if it's a trial version. So excuse me, I said that backwards. Most often it's that you just don't get all of the features of the paid version. But sometimes on the trial version, you get all the features, but you just don't get them for a very long period of time. So it really is important when you're looking at the apps to read through all the details under the description. I also would recommend looking at how many times it's been downloaded and what it's rated. Just a little tidbit there. Okay, so all of the Whoops, a few more characteristics. Okay, often free or low cost. That's important, and that's one of the reasons it comes in the lightweight category. I will say most often you do get what you pay for. That's why I have low quality voice listed on here. There's a lot of apps out there that are inexpensive or free, and you get super excited because they have great pictures, and then you access it and you go, what? I can't even understand what he's saying. So you do have to be mindful of that. That is one of the options. Okay, we are going to move into showing our app. So what I've done, the layout that we're using this morning, is that we're going to discuss, as we did, what the features are, and then I'm going to actually go into my apps and demonstrate some of the apps that match this category, and then we'll do the other categories in the same manner. Okay. So let's just, I'm going to share screen and open up our first lightweight app.
My first AAC.
Make sure I'm sharing my sound with you. Okay, so just a second. This first app we're going to look at is called My First AAC, and it is designed with toddlers or preschoolers, but I prefer to just say that it's got kind of like a pre-KK vocabulary base. You'll see lots of categories that align well with an academic profile, and it is an inexpensive app, and it is found on iOS only. Okay, so while we're in this app, and I'm going to, I want to make sure you guys, and everybody see the full screen of the app? Yes, you can see it all. Can you give me a thumbs up, someone? Thank you. Okay. So when I tap on this rectangular button here, what this allows me to see all of the categories. So this vocabulary is thematically based. Let's see, I'm going to close that back up again so I don't get too super distracted. Okay. And we can see all of the categories that we have here. So there are a total of 22 categories within this particular app, categories that we can access. So
Expressions.
you hear that voice right away. Expressions, it's a child voice. You see 8 buttons on this screen. The easiest way for you to grasp what an app is offering is to look in the settings. So I'm going to go to the settings first, which we access by this cute little doll here, screw shaped. They want to make sure you're an adult before you get into the settings. And this lets us know what we're able to manipulate within this app. So we get 2 voice choices, either a boy or a girl. We just heard the girl. I'll turn it to the voice. So you can hear that. And here's our layouts. You can have 2 buttons on a page or 8 buttons on a page. As we hopefully all know, if you're going to customize an AAC system, you want to match the gender of the client and you want to have personal information. So they thought they were being thoughtful. They give you access to really the only things that are, well, to the identifying information. So you can customize these things here. And that's really about it. Okay, so I'm going to select home. And let's talk about how we can navigate within this app. I forgot to set my timer, so I'm hoping that we spend an equal amount of time on each of these apps. So let me start my timer. I'll go down just a little bit on that one. Okay, so I navigate between these apps by 2 things. I can use these large rectangular buttons here to just scroll through the categories. Okay. When you find some blank spots, that lets you know that this is a page where I can do some editing to. Okay. Or I can navigate by selecting the rectangle here and then just picking. So some of those categories I mentioned, for example, would be good for school. We have a colors page.
Colors.
And I have my primary colors. Go back out and select. I'll show you an example of when you do choose to edit under activities.
Activities.
So you can see down here, I've taken a photograph and I've added my own symbol here. I called it a music ball. I'm sure it's called something else. But that's what I did on the button. And when you edit within this app, you are recording your own voice. So let's hear it.
Music ball.
Okay. It's just natural speech. This is very appropriate for a lot of users. There are some individuals perhaps with significant language delays that need actual photographs. So I could replace any of these with photographs of the items that they represent. And I simply record my voice. Okay. So navigation. This item, this button here up here, it's a drop and it allows me to lock in to a category. So that's indicated. We know it's on because of the color change. But what this means now I can't get off this page.
Blocks.
I'm touching this button up here. Nothing's going to happen. I'm locked in. So if you've ever, if your son or your daughter or your student, I didn't take a survey at the beginning, so I'm not really sure if we're more professionals or parents, families on the line. So either way, sometimes we need to help our AAC users to stay focused on the topic that we're talking about. Maybe it's a place.
Places.
And we just want them to pick a place. So we can easily slide that button on the top and okay, we're just going to stay here for a minute until we finish discussing places. And after that, I can open this back up very easily, and then we can continue to navigate to other options. I'd like you while we're here to take note of, well, there's prepositions. Hope I'm not making anybody dizzy by going through those too quickly. I'll stop at the food button, but I do
Food.
to note the symbol system because this app does have a unique symbol system in that the pictures, they're not photographs, but they're graphics that are more realistic in nature, which is also something that is very helpful for early AAC users. Okay. That is our first step. Whoops. Okay, Sounding Board by Ablenet. This is the second lightweight app that I'd like for us to look at. You're going to see right away as soon as we open it. It tells you here on your page that you can create boards very quickly in Sounding Board, which is true. This is a free app, although it's only available on iOS. It does have some flexibility and was very common with school districts when it first came out. All right. So it's made by Ablenet, which is a very long-standing company in terms of providing products that support individuals with special needs. Starting my timer here so I don't stress that. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so right away we open up this app and it looks very different from the previous app. So I want you to be keeping in mind as we look at these apps, we always want to look at the navigation, the layout, and the symbol representation. So all of our boards here within this app are in a list function, and we're provided with the text, the word for the category, but then also symbol support. So you don't have to be a reader in order to navigate this system because you have symbol support. Right away, I'm going to begin with this first one. I'm going to open protest because it's just one button. Okay, I'm going to navigate back with the top left because I want you to see the stark contrast. So I can have one button up a page. I can have multiple buttons on a page and look at emergency information. Okay, this is for navigating back just by top left. And then I can still also link pages within this particular app. If I scroll down, you can swipe up. And navigate down here. Let's look at this shopping list page. I know that this has a page where buttons are linked to one another. Okay, they indicate that by this little arrow in the top row. So there are phrases stored here.
How much is that?
Things that I would need to say if I was shopping, right?
Do you have more?
Asking questions, getting someone's attention,
Excuse me.
asking for help. Oh, we don't have a phrase there. Okay. Thank you. We lose our phrase. Okay, so let me go here to the top.
Where is the?
It said, where is the? And then it automatically changes to a page so that I could finish that utterance. Where is
Bread.
Where is the bread? So I don't have a message window here, which I'll describe what that is in a little bit. But I do have some simple basic linking.
Where is the?
Okay, so if we scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see a bar. Hopefully everyone can see this. Yeah, I'll move it up. Across the bottom where it says buy boards. Okay, I mentioned earlier that you might have some in-app purchases. This is a free app, but they give the option for buying more boards. Everybody's got to make money, right? So if I select buy boards, it just shows me some options of other boards and the price of these boards so that I can always add, which is nice because not everybody wants to make boards. Not all of us love doing that. So you have the option to buy boards. One thing that's very unique to this app, and it's seldom that you see this among lightweight apps, is that you have the option to actually chart the data. Right here where it says user data, you can see what words your user has been saying and how frequently. So it doesn't go into a lot of detail in terms of finding out when they said what, which there are some apps that have systems in place for you to do that. But this app will give you the most popular boards and the symbols that were used. And you can actually email this to yourself. So if you're a professional, that information might be helpful to you. That is unique. Okay, they have updated recently, so you can expand a board up to 20 buttons on a particular page when you're creating. The help gives you access to the menu, actually the manual, excuse me, not the menu, the manual, which is becoming common now, built into the app, so you can access and have any questions answered without having to go outside of the app. And then your settings. I'm just going to open settings briefly to see that you can scan. How many of you all know what scanning is? I see hands of thumbs up if you're familiar with scanning. Some people, I think we have a lot of cameras off. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to explain scanning later when we get closer to an app. But this is, I think, one of the few lightweight apps that also allows you to scan, and it's a way that we access our vocabulary. And changing the background color. So you can edit, scan, but you don't get a lot of other options. And that is sounding board. I will make note that in this particular app, they do have several pre-made pages that would be appropriate for an older individual, such as you can see here listed. We have a social page and a workplace page, emergency and control. I like control. I wanted to show you the control button, the phrases that are here.
Please leave me alone. Come back in a few minutes.
I'm touching this. There we go.
I don't want that.
Okay. So again, this symbol system, you won't see these symbols in any other apps as well. They are unique, but they're very transparent. So it can be very helpful for someone just starting a system as well. There's our timer. Let's pop back in and see what's next. Okay. Snapseed by Toby Dynavox. I wanted to show you Snapseed because, again, it's different, completely different from the first two, in that what it allows you to do is use scenes, scene-based communication boards and systems. There's a place for it. It may not be as common as a grid version, so a lot of us are used to just seeing rows and rows of buttons, but scene-based communication is appropriate for a lot of our learners, and it is very easy to do. This is an app where you take a picture and it becomes the basis for your communication system. And it is, they have a free version, and the paid version is $50. So that's not so bad in terms of communication systems. Let's take a look at the app. Here it comes. All right, so this is a picture. I'm showing you the light version. And to be honest, there are a lot of things that you can do with the light version if you just want to probe it before even buying it. They do give you a limit on how many apps that, or how many boards that you can make. But it's still fun and functional to play around with. So let's look at the structure of this particular app. Snapseed allows you to create a communication board by using a photograph and digitized speech, okay? The term digitized speech means recorded speech. Just like a fancy tape recorder, we're going to use our voice. So let's take a look at the sample board here. The circles indicate what they call hotspots. So I have speech behind each of these hotspots. I'm going to select the ball first.
Catch it.
Okay.
My turn.
She says, my turn, catch it. The other girl, if we circle her hands,
Push it.
vocabulary that's specific to this particular environment. These two columns, notice we have a blue column and a peach colored column. The peach colored column shows us what board we're on, and they also help us to navigate and view all the boards that we have available to ourselves. So if I select basic concepts on the top left, you'll see that it'll slide over. So now the folder of all my basic concepts are in the peach colored column, and it allows me to see, just as we had folders before with thematic vocabulary, this folder opens up all of these options. So if I want to manipulate these, we have two options. The arrow in the top right corner, if you drop down that arrow and hit continue. Oh, you can't see it. Oh, here it comes. Okay. So I have hotspot and draw. This menu across the top is my clue that I am within my editing mode. Okay. Play is when I'm just speaking and communicating. The draw feature, the X on the white ball, is an example of the draw feature. So draw feature is just that. It gives you the option to just draw on a picture. I'm circling. We could be doing identification. We could be naming. You see my circle coming there. Yeah. Lots of different things that we could do with draw. Hotspot is actually how we create our communication. I'm going to go back to play mode first by closing right here on the top arrow. Navigation is pretty simple. This page just names my color.
Red. Pink. Purple.
Okay. I'm going to go back to a communication page just to show you how simple it was to do. I just took a picture in my home and I just drew some circles around it and then just added some speech. One of the nice things you have options with this particular app is it doesn't have to be speech alone, but it can be text as well.
Has anyone seen my reading glasses?
So let's see.
Can we light a candle in here?
I'm going to show you one with the text. Go back to, I think it's the numbers page has text.
4.
That's all numbers. Oh, it doesn't have text. I wanted to demonstrate, I'm sorry, let me look for one that has text. If not, I'll just turn it on for you really easy.
I want that ball.
So let's go back into edit. I'm going to select hotspot. And we see, I'm just going to circle the corner of this blanket right quick. Okay, where it says add label, I can type in the word blanket. I'll record the sound. I'm cold. I need the blanket. And then I'll select done. Now I use this top arrow here to go out of edit mode. And now I've created a new hotspot on the blanket. And when I tap it, because I selected a label,
I'm cold. I'm cold. I need the blanket.
oh, let's see. I think we need to go into settings. Here we go. Under settings, we're showing our scene, a scene animation. I'm going to turn that on and turn on high contrast labels. Okay. Now we see all of our labels off. And it has a nice zoom.
I'm
feature.
cold. I need the blanket.
Okay, so we can also label everything within our environment. So you have a lot of different features that you can turn on and off in terms of just language development or language exposure. Having the words, I can actually make the words bigger to be seen. I can change the contrast of the words, the color of the background of words as well. And the last thing I want to share quickly about this app is that it has this learn about pathways. Because this app is by Tobii Dynavox, which is a very large company in the industry, they have provided you links to their Pathways app. Pathways is a wonderful learning source where there's my time where they give you access to lots of different suggestions and tools for how to use and implement all of their apps. Okay. So let's see what's next. We're ready for our middleweight apps. Before we go into the middleweight apps, Liz, are there any questions, or I'm opening up, does anyone have any questions specifically about the lightweight apps? If so, would you put them in the chat? I know the system automatically mutes everyone. So that's kind of the only way that I can know what your questions are. But if you have any questions about the lightweight apps, please add them to the chat and Liz will share them with us. Okay, I don't think I'm seeing any specific questions about lightweight apps at this time.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to pop in and let people know that if you have specific needs, if you're looking for something specific for your child, to please email us. If you scroll up in chat, you'll see our email addresses, and we can help. Liz and I can try to help you with your specific needs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's hop into these middleweight apps. So I had to put this out there first, and let's get over the shock feature. The middleweight apps do cost more. So we're going from 2 digits to 3-digit numbers right off the bat pretty quickly. That was a big jump from free to over 100. But that's okay. We want, I think that you can't put a price on communication. That's just me personally. Extensive vocabulary. So middleweight apps average at least 3,000 words. So if you think about your typically developing 3-year-old and we took a language sample, we would need this many words. Okay, this is why sequencing is important and multiple meaning pictures are important, because I don't want to have to carry around a communication book that has 3,000 pictures in it. So middle weight apps have broader vocabularies. They cost more, and we also have more different voice options. That's important. And I'll share that with you as you begin to see. Okay, access of flexibility. Accessing flexibility issues. So this means a couple of different things. Right away, you might think access. Okay, how I get into the device, how I touch it. That is part of it. Touch components such as dwell time. So when I put my finger on the device, do I have to hold it there for a long time? Can I just tap it? Does the device recognize my touch when I release my finger or when I put my finger on? If I have motor components and maybe my hand shakes around, maybe I have to drag my finger over to the one I want and then release it. All of those are accessibility features that your middleweight apps typically give you options to manipulate. That's important. Also, things that relate to accessibility, though, are your vision. If I'm visually impaired, can I change all of my contrast and make it black? Make all the backgrounds black instead of white so it's easier to see. So accessibility features really do count for a lot of the options that are available within these particular types of apps, and is very important for customizing to your user. If I'm visually impaired, I might have all the cognitive and motoric abilities, but if I'm not seeing that contrast, then the app is no good for me. So changing colors, changing size, shape of fonts and buttons, all those things are available. Having one or more storage method. This is an important feature that comes with these apps. I've listed a couple here. We all have, in this day and age, heard about saving things to the cloud, saving things to iTunes. For your iOS apps, of course, iTunes is always an option for you. But I'm talking about apps today that have these features built in, so it's very easy for you to back up and save your storage. Dropbox is another one. iShare is a special saving program that's specific to two particular types of apps that we're going to go over today. Characteristics of middleweight apps. So scanning capabilities, I will point out apps that allow you to scan. Perhaps I'm not able to just touch individually easily each button, but I need it to give me my options as we go along. That's scanning. Editing and customization we talked about. Storage off the app. That's an important feature that comes with these types of apps as well. So being able to save my vocabulary on my computer, for example. We have 3 different apps. The Satillo apps, they have companion software that allows you to save and actually see your vocabulary on your computer. Okay, so let's get into these apps. There's a lot of fun apps here. The first one we're going to talk about is called Lamps Word for Life. When I began to think about all the different apps that I wanted to share, and it was tough because we had to just pull, again, we're trying to list the most popular ones, but I began to think what each of these apps were best known for. So in my mind, I started giving them awards. And I thought, wow, I wish I had added that to the PowerPoint. I made an announcement. Oh, it's not sharing today. So let's go on into the app. This app, if I could give this app an award, we would have a drum roll and I would say, dun, 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 introducing the one app that is considered to be an app that you can use out of the box. So the LAMP app, out of the box award. That's what we would call it, the out of the box award. When you open up the LAMP app, you are going to see what is known in our field as core vocabulary. Core vocabulary is the term used to describe really 80% of everything that we say. So linguists have done a lot of research and determined that if I take a language sample from myself and a language sample from you of 10 words each, about 8 of those words are going to be the same, especially if we're talking about the same topic. So what we're looking at here is core vocabulary, and it is organized similar to what we call a Fitzgerald key. I'm going to briefly touch on it here, but you're going to see it over and over again. That color coding where my pronouns are yellow, my verbs are green, my main core vocabulary is white. What makes this system unique? I said that we should go into the settings to get an idea right away of what the app is offering us. So let's do this by looking into the vocabulary. Choose new vocabulary. This is not the settings, but it gets us there. When I open up this app, I see that I have 1, 2, 3 vocabulary options, a one hit, a transition, and a full. But I also have the one hit and the full in Spanish. That's important, and that's a unique feature of this app. One hit vocabulary. What this means is, in essence, even though I have sequencing with this app, I have a single meaning with this particular user. I can make a sentence and I get exactly just the word that I would present. I like, I'm going to say to eat.
To eat.
So I've got a message bar window up here at the top. So now I can touch one button up here or anywhere in the message window and say that one word. That one.
I like to eat.
I like to eat. Yay. Now, if I'm in a sequenced user, let's clear it and let's go to our full user. At the bottom. And I'm going to create that same sentence, but now you're going to see the wealth of vocabulary I have when I'm in a full user and when I'm using sequencing. So now I had to touch I twice because now I'm sequencing.
I
Like. Okay.
like
To.
to.
And now this time at the bottom, when I select eat, I can say eat, but I also have access now to all of these categories of all my food words. So I can say eat.
Eat.
But when I go back and select eat again, now I can be more specific. I can tell you exactly what I like to eat. I'm going to go into snacks and say popcorn because that's one of my
Popcorn.
favorites. I'm going to have a big thing of popcorn tonight to celebrate that I made it through this workshop. Okay, I like to eat popcorn.
I like to eat popcorn.
Okay, so that kind of quickly demonstrates the value of having the full vocabulary on. Now I know many of you might be saying, whoa, that's a lot of buttons. That's way too many. How could I start, my user? That's too many. So they recognize this when they created the system, and they have options built in for this. So I don't have to show all 84 symbols at the beginning. I have something called Vocabulary Builder that allows me, I'm going to go into the menu setting and open up my Vocabulary Builder, and it allows me, oh, I'm in original. Let me go back out. Go into vocabulary. What I'm going to do for our time's sake anyways is I'm just going to show you some of the other pages that I have already made that are in the full, but what I've done is I've just hidden some of those buttons. So if I'm teaching a client to just work on saying what they like and what they don't like, I'm going to open protest and like. And then I'm going to turn on my Vocabulary Builder down here at the bottom and say done. Now I have just the buttons that are shown, just the ones showing that are pertinent to our activity. Now I can say all day long, I like it, I don't like it. I want that. I want to play that. So I have all the buttons that I need in order to be successful. It also, being able to add and show vocabulary makes it easy to monitor as your student or your child's vocabulary is growing, because you're literally unhiding that, okay, methodically, so you can track very quickly what words they're learning. The last thing that I want to show you about this app, what I like about it is that really this models English grammar so nicely, so that I can, while I'm teaching language, I'm also able to teach parts of speech. I have my adjectives. I have what I call grammar row here, where I've got exclamations under my fireworks, right? I have prepositions under the bridge icon. So all of these things, as I'm learning to build language, I can also learn grammar. Each time I select a verb, such as come, now I can say come, but I can also say comes, coming, came, and to come. So I'm learning parts of speech as well. Okay, and my, whoops, let me open another one there. Okay, I'll do here. A good example. Got some related verbs are always green. And then over here, I have more. Okay. So let me see, is there anything else I wanted to say about this? Spanish and English, vocabulary builder. There's really a lot to this app. I didn't want to overdo it, but I wanted you to see it does not have to be overwhelming. It is a full language system, nouns and spelling. I'm going to open up the spelling keyboard right there. So I do have a spelling. This is unique. There's only one other app that does this as well, and it has a phonetic right up here, keyboard there. So I can actually work on spelling words, giving long A, short A. So if I wanted to say cat, I would select my C. Do you hear the sound there? Did you guys hear that? Very nice when because keep in mind too, not every AAC user doesn't mean that they're nonverbal either. We have a lot of individuals that have some sounds that they can make, but they're just not able to communicate everything they need to communicate, so they still rely on the AA system. This is still a good, useful tool for helping those that still can produce some sounds, because you've got a constant model there and you're still teaching. And then I'm going to add my T. It may not sound like cat because I've got two C's at the beginning.
Caught.
Okay, I have two C's, but if you heard cat is there. That's my timer. We got to keep moving. So that is LAMP, Words for Life. Keep in mind that there is a strategy of teaching language called LAMP. This is LAMP, the app, and then there's also LAMP, the instructional tools. Okay, really fun app to use. And it's listed at $2.99. Whoa, I went ahead. Okay. So the next middleweight app that I'm going to show you is called Touch Chat. Touch Chat with Word Power. None of my sounds, I had sounds built in. Okay. So this app, if we're going to give Touch Chat an award, the award for this app would be, it would get the prize for versatility. Touch Chat, available on iOS system only, is one of those apps that can reach a wide range of users. You get more for your buck with this app. Okay. Let's take a look. Touch Chat is opening up. It's going to open up probably to the last page that I used, and then we're going to go back into the vocabulary. Okay. So I'm going to select vocabulary and I'm going to open it up so that you can see what you actually get from the beginning when you buy this app. Everything that is yellow, not green, green are customized. Look at the padlocks on the left. 4 basic SS. Okay. A My Core, which is all spelling. A vocabulary, 12 location. Then I've got all these here, a special page set for aphasia users, a special multi-chat 15 version for school-based individuals. Quick Chat, which is an introductory system, but they have page sets for adults and children with complex needs. These range from 4 buttons to a page to 12 buttons to a page. But then we also get the word power page sets, as well as, look at this, Spanish and French page sets. This is why I say you get a lot for what you're paying. We want to keep in mind that systems, you don't want to select a system, or AAC users shouldn't get a system that's just right for them at that particular stage where they are. You really want it to be a little bit higher than where they are, because you want them to be able to grow, right? We want to project where we see them going and give them a language system that will allow them to grow and continue, not just meet the needs that they currently have. Okay, it's just a little tidbit there. So if we open up Word Power, you will see the wide range even within Word Power. Apps that max at 108 buttons per page and then are as low as 20. Keep in mind again that we customize all the time. So even though I might open up a page set, if I open up this 42 basic, which is one that I like a lot, I can still change, hide, and show. I don't have to even show all 42. I could have my client, I may have selected this page set, but the first month we might only have 8 or 10 buttons showing, and I'm going to unhide them as time goes on. So I can't show you all the hide and unhide features, which is really fun, but I want you to get an idea in general of how the layout works. Again, you see the color coding for parts of speech, but how does it navigate? Remember I told you those 3 things I'm going to keep talking about, right? How it navigates, the simple representation. So how it navigates, we see these little arrows here in the buttons. If you see the double arrows, that tells you that I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to select I. The page changes to, they've predicted. What most likely is the user going to say after they say I? What do you think? Okay, I could, I can. I'm going to say I can. Okay.
Can.
Then it automatically changed back. So it's it's called a visit to a page. I visited the other page and then I came back. That's what these 2 little circle arrows mean. But there's another arrow, like here under drink, to the right. It's the arrow to the right. It doesn't mean that I'm visiting the page. I'm going to this page.
Drink.
And stay there. So now I can drink. What can I drink? I can drink anything because I'm an adult. I'm going to select smoothie though. That's a nice healthy drink.
Smoothie.
So I selected a button, but it didn't go back and change. I have to navigate back by doing one of 2 things, either selecting this blue arrow here, which gives me additional vocabulary, or I can select the yellow house on the right, which takes me to the very top page. I'm going to select the period though, because guess what? This is facilitating.
I can drink smoothie.
So in its own way, it's still helping teach about language and sentence structure, because it didn't say the sentence until I hit the period. Okay, so that's built into the system. It is a setting that I can turn off, but it's there built in if I want. I'm going to clear at the bottom left. And once I said my sentence, then it sent me back to the top. Let's look at the settings very quickly under menu. Again, settings allow you to see really all of the flexibility that the app is going to offer you without having to just go page to page. Okay, I might need some help with my timing because I forgot to turn my timer on before we started this app. I got a little too excited. So within the settings of the Touch Chat app, it's divided by things you can do per the button. So I can manipulate how I navigate. I was just talking about how important navigation is. This app allows you to choose how the pages come and go within the system. And if you're going to do that with icons, I was just showing you those icons, but I could turn that off. And that means then I would have to scroll. My status bar, I can put a key guard on this. Down here under voices, let's take a quick look under voice. We were talking about when you use a middleweight system, how you get access to more voices. There are tons of voices. Some of them are free, some of them I might have to buy, but lots and lots of choices. Spanish voices are there and lots of English voices. You see, the one I have selected will have a check mark next to it, but it's really fun, and we don't have the time to do all of these, but it's really fun. And again, it's important that you select a voice that matches your user. Okay. No one wants to talk with a funny voice. So if you want, that can really be a roadblock for a device abandonment. It's important to have a voice that they like. So that's voices. I'm just throwing out tidbits here. I know we're not doing an assessment. And again, I don't really know how many professionals and how many parents we have, but that's important to keep in mind. How it uses its words, it gives us options. Do I want to pause between words? I can manipulate how the voice sounds in terms of pitch as well. How the words appear, speech display bar options. What's going to go up here? Is it just going to be the word or the word in the picture? Will it be in all caps? We can manipulate all of those items within the app. Okay. And then I can also do some of that data logging that I pointed out to you at the beginning with the lightweight app with sounding board. So I can enable data logging here, and I can even use something called realized language setup. This is a software, and I know you can't really see it, but my screen saver behind me, my backdrop, is a picture of someone's language. So all of those little words I gathered using realized language setup so that I can monitor the words that my client is using. It's connected to software, and you have to have your Wi-Fi set up in order to do it. But again, as a clinician, it's a nice way for you to begin to monitor. When I was doing it with my client, I was amazed when I very first started. I was like, wow, we really need to work on verbs. You know, I knew she had the basics that she would use for her daily language, but I needed to focus on that so then I could see the change as I monitored. Okay, and then the dwell time, those are all things that I touched on briefly earlier about accessibility, that you have the option to manipulate within this app. Okay, I feel like I've been on this app way too long. I didn't set my timer for it. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to set the timer for the next one. So we stay right. Okay. Grid for the iPad. This app is made by Smartbox, and it is just an app that I've really just started to kind of fall in love with a little bit because of all the things that you can do with it. So the award for Grid, it would be the most users reached award. That's the award that I'm giving for this app. You see none of my fun sounds are playing. I had fun sounds connected. All right, one sound bite worked. Yay! Most users, and I'm going to open it up and let you see. That is a screenshot of my opening page for, oh, before we move off this page, note on your screen, and I hope that you're reading some of these descriptions. I know that I'm talking around it, trying to say it all, but I hope you're reading this as well. You will get it in your handouts. So if you're not, it's okay. But this particular app allows you to pay for it monthly at $10 a month, or you can pay for one time of $34.99. They have a free 30-day trial, so definitely take advantage of the 30-day trial. It is on the iOS platform only, but it's well worth it. Okay, it's an expensive app, but my goodness, let's see what you get when you use this app. Okay, so Grid is opening up, and when you get your Grid app, you're going to make your top page look any way that you want it to. What I've put on mine are, I tried to give you a representation of what's available within the app. So this is my Grid Explorer page, and it gives me access to additional page sets with this similar feature. So the first two I have at the top are text-based for users, okay? So I have Text Talker, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because we do have some text apps to look at, but it's important to note that these are available within the Grid app as well. I have my basic keyboard here, and I do have phrase prediction on the keyboard. So on the keyboard. So if I begin typing what might be considered a common phrase like, hi, how are you? I'll start with H-I-H-O-W. So you see how
Hi.
my words, I got hi, how is my next predicted word? Okay, that came up. But then the phrase, hi, how are things going? How are you? You know how it works, are phrases that are predicted as well. If I wanted to access more phrases, I can tap on these two speech bubbles here and it opens it up. Now I have several phrases and I have thematic categories for particular phrases. So that's easy to see and fun to give you those options there as well. These buttons down at the bottom, I wanted you to see these big bold buttons because they're easy to touch and easy to use, and I can add simply by typing in a phrase and then selecting the plus button, and then I've added that phrase to my phrase category. So let's get back to the Grid Explorer by this little icon here. Text chat for key guards is a number similar text-based page. I like it because it has that message feature. The layout, though, is designed for key guard. Does anybody, oh, I have to wait without my key guard. Yeah, if we get to the end and you want me to show you the key guard, just type it in the chat and I will show you the key guard. But all of these page sets work well with the keyboard, including their message phrase page. You'll see the alignment still would allow me to use a key guard very well. So we have icebreakers, responses, quick comments, are categories for, again, more printed phrases. Okay, so are you kidding?
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. It's really that amazing. Okay, going back to Grid Explorer. I really want to, in a hurry, to show these interactive pages. So let me tell you that the grid page set, we give page sets for text users, symbol users, eye gazers, spellers, all of them are easily customizable. But it also has page sets that can be used therapeutically that are just interactive and they're fun. But while your client or your child or son or daughter is having fun, they're also building skills that will increase their efficiency as communicators. So we have the standard page sets here, like Vocabulary for Life. I'll open it quickly. Okay, so this page set, notice your symbol system is different from what we just looked at. The layout here, I've got function buttons across the top and then my main vocabulary in blue in the middle. But then down here, I have some themes that open up different types of vocabulary. So quick stuff, everybody has a different phrase for it. So under quick stuff, I've got a sentence starter, I need
my.
and then it automatically changes. In the touch chat, they call it sentence generation. Okay, I need my, and then I can quickly say what I might need.
Scarf.
Okay, I'm going to clear that. Comments across the top, you notice, oh, no way, we can't be out of time already. On comments, we have yes, no, I don't know, please come and help me. The navigation is indicated by the file folders at the top, just like you would see in some of the other files, some of the other apps. Quickly, I'm going to show you an interactive page set. So this is called Park Life. It's going to show us the scene. You have 3 levels for each of these interactive page sets. The first level, you just get the single word which triggers the action within the page.
Balloons.
So now my balloons are popping. Oh, my balloons are popping. Or if I hit the swing, I get a swing. I get to see the person swinging. It's a really slow swing, but it's a swing. On the second level, and I don't have time to go through all of them, they actually give you some descriptors for the item. So now we're getting a little assistance with the context. And I'm going to touch balloons again, but listen to what it says this time.
The balloons are popping.
Okay, so just a little more language. And the same thing for swing. I don't know why we didn't hear it that time.
The girl is on the swing.
There we go. Okay, the girl is on the swing. Then the third stage of the interactive page sets gives you, your AAC user, the option to generate those same sentences themselves. Okay, so now they've seen the items. Maybe you're doing it thematic and working on labeling, then you're working on the actions. We get to this third set. Now you have vocabulary to build the sentence yourself and say the same thing. So the girl, and I have all of my part of speech here.
Is
What was she doing? She was swinging.
on the swing.
Okay, so I can say the entire sentence. I can clear it. And then also, I can also just make a comment about it. The opinions are always down here on the bottom. And I love this about this app because so often we get stuck on, we're answering questions, answering WH questions. And you know what if can I just express my opinion about it? Can I use a different language function? I might just want to say that that was really cool.
Cool.
Or I might want to honestly tell you that I'm just
Boring.
That's why I'm kicking you under the table. Okay. So that is a really fast and hopefully probably not doing it complete justice Grid Explorer. Definitely worth taking a look at because lots of good options there that you can use with a variety if you are doing assessments. It's a great app to have access to for doing assessments because the layout is simple. The icons are bold and the users can learn to modify for themselves if they have the cognitive abilities to do so. This particular system makes that simple and easy to do. Okay. We have one more app in the middleweight, and Protocol to Go by Assisted Wear is in here. I'm going to say kind of by default because this was the first communication app that was put on the market for tablet users. So we'll just probably give them some cheers because they were the ones that got this started, right? In terms of using tablets for communication systems. So if you know anything about these, you probably have heard of this particular app. So we had to include it as a classic. That's the award that this app gets. It would be the classic, the classic award. Although it was the first one on the market and it's been there since 2009 when this all started. It really sounds like a long time ago, right? And it's made changes though. It has definitely makers have taken the advice of the stakeholders and made changes to improve the app. I personally would say that I like it more now than I did when it first came out. So Protocol to Go offers 3 levels of vocabulary attainment. So again, we're going into the settings. I'm methodical here. I'm trying to be. I hope that you find it that way. And we'll look at the vocabulary, see what are we getting for our money. We're getting 3 different choices under vocabulary level. We get a basic communication, an intermediate core, and an advanced core user. Okay, I'm going to switch to the basic communication user for a moment, and we're going to stay in the same appearance of an app, and I'm hoping that I've made the right selection of buttons to help you to see how the vocabulary changes as you change in the complexity of your user. If we tap on appearance first, you'll see that I can really change the appearance of my screen quite a bit by showing or not showing the message window. If I turn this off right away, then I'm not looking at building sentences necessarily or storing them up. Sometimes we do this to make the buttons appear bigger, to give us a larger access area. Okay, I'll go back to appearance. For this purpose, though, I want a message window, so I'm going to turn on the message window. But I will show you that we can change the size of the toolbar, the folder size, but right here, the default and the grid size is what we're going to look at the most. So I love the flexibility that this app offers as well. I might have 9 buttons on a page, and that is where you must start with this particular app, at least 9. But then if you scroll down, you can go as high as 144. Good to know, right? Always great to have options. I'm going to put a 25, a 5 by 5 on our screen. Out of appearance, all the things that we talked about before, all your aesthetic properties, you can definitely make some wonderful changes. This feature, and it's in some of the other apps, I didn't point it out, but I like this because this is, it's come, I don't want to date myself, but recently, in terms of all the apps are starting to give the users the option of the reflection of what their users look like. So I can make my users look more like me. As an AAC user, I might really appreciate that by being able to change the skin tone. And now my system reflects who I am. I think that there's a whole nother workshop we could do about that, and competency and the connection there. Let me know if anybody wants to discuss that sometime. That's important to me. So now my symbols look the way I look. So there are really, I only know of 2 right now, symbol systems, 3 communication apps that allow you to do that. Okay, so we are in our basic vocabulary, and we look at what is visible to us. Excuse me. It's sentence starters. Okay, so I've got phrases. I want, I like, I see, I don't like. And then I have folders that open access to all kinds of other vocabulary that is thematically arranged. Okay, really quickly, if I simply change my vocabulary level from basic to intermediate core, now the sentence starters are gone. I have single words on a button, which is important because now I'm learning one word has one meaning. And I'm building some real, at a very simple level, building some senses here. So all my pronouns are there. My core verbs are here. A little bit different color coding too than from some of the other systems. This one, they would call it a modified Fitzgerald key. I played with this button down here at the bottom. I made hello purple, and I changed the border around just as a quick example that you can continue to tweak and make the buttons look any way that you want them to make. Across the bottom here, I have some new features. I can search for buttons. Really helpful for new users. If you don't know where to find a word, you can look for it. I can adjust the volume of my speech, and I can also access what's recent. What was that last on this particular system? Okay. I'm going back home. I have access to a keyboard. Within Proloquo to Go, the ABC keyboard will come up, but I can also provide access to a QWERTY keyboard. The house button takes me back home. Okay, this is my navigational system within this particular app. My pencil, which for my users probably wouldn't normally be showing, but that gives me access to edit right away. So now I'm in edit mode and I can make changes to my buttons or add buttons or folders is what this represents. And I can do that very quickly within this system here. Storage. This is a unique feature for this particular app. It allows you to move words and put them in storage on other pages. So I can see everything that's on this top page. I can move it to a second page, or I can even put it in storage. Why would we want to do that? Well, maybe you have a user that needs access, or let's see if I can get back to a page that will show me some good examples for this. I'm going to open up Places. Places is a good page. So let's say under my Places page, party. You see that I've already have an arrow to page 2. On page 2, oh, look at that. I have McDonald's on page 2. Well, that's pretty exciting. As a user, what if I learn that and I just always want to say McDonald's, 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 because that is most important. McDonald's can be an option for me, but maybe it's only on every like 3rd Saturday. I might take that word and use my source feature. So I can select it when I'm in edit mode, which I'm accessing by touching that pencil at the bottom. And I can select that word and I can move it into my storage. So it's not visible all the time. Okay, quick demonstrate there of the storage. So there's a lot of handy features that have been thought out well. The makers of this system designed it for their son originally. So he has given some thought to some things that I would call practical or functional uses of the system. Okay. There are also a lot of language options with Protocol to Go that it's great to be aware of. I can easily change my language. Let's see, under speech and language, and grammatical features can be turned on or off. So when I have grammatical support turned on, and I'm showing this because a lot of people have a tendency to glance at Protocol to Go, and I've heard a lot, oh, it's just too simple. You know, I need more, my son or my daughter needs more. But when you have your grammatical features turned on, then I can also do some of the same sentence building the same way we were doing with the LAMP in terms of having access to parts of speech. So I turned on grammatical support, and now before I say like, I can decide, did I want to say liked or liking or to like? And when I select it, I can hear it first. So I don't have to say it out loud first. I'm going to select it and I'm going to preview it. Then I can hear it first. And then if that's what I want to say, then I can go ahead and say it. They also give you corresponding verbs. So if you're a grammar nut, or you like doing this, you can take screenshots and you can work on grammar units with just this feature right here for any of the particular given words. So just thought some fun things that you can do in addition to achieving your communication competency. Okay. All right, let's scoot along. How are we doing time-wise? Okay. We've made it through our lightweight apps, our middleweight apps. Liz, are there any questions specifically about the middleweight apps that anyone has?
There is a question regarding the chat.
Touch chat, okay.
Is touch chat recommended for children that can partially speak or communicate as well, or would it enable him to not use his words?
That's a great question, and people have been asking that forever, and I'm so happy to say that there's research that supports that the use of AAC or voice output does not hinder speech development. It actually will support speech development. So it would not hinder use of words. When a child sees a speech therapist, we're constantly providing models, right? That's important. When you have a voice output communication device, it's also providing a model. So we found that sometimes students actually begin to speak more and they're actually modeling what they hear from their communication device. So it definitely can still be an appropriate app. I certainly would recommend you have an assessment done by a speech therapist to determine if it's the app, but it's not going to hinder speech development. That's a good question. Did that help?
Yes. The webinar is supposed to end at 11, and Bernadette does have at least 5 more apps to show. If you do have to leave at 11, I will send an email with a handout, the link to an evaluation for today's presentation, and I will also add the link to our YouTube channel so you can view this webinar at a later time if you have to go.
Thank you. So our text-based apps, or I call them the heavyweight apps. And the reason I say that is because if you are able to use text, then you're more likely to be able to get to what we call SNUG. SNUG stands for Spontaneous Novel Utterance Generation. That means I can say whatever I want to say whenever I want to say it. Okay, that's what makes these apps heavyweight apps. So designed for earlier acquiring literate users, they may offer more than one style of keyboard. That's important. All the other apps that we looked at, well, Proloquo gave us 2 choices of keyboards, but styles being the QWERTY style, that's your traditional style that you see when you look at any keyboard attached to a typical computer on your laptop, or a keyboard that is an ABC function. Okay. It also may allow stored phrases and may support icons. Some of them support icons as well to enhance the learning. So maybe you're not a full reader, so you still need some pictures to help out with that. Okay, Proloquo for text is the first app under this heavyweight category that we're going to look at. And it's all text. Okay, so we're not going to go really in detail. I'm going to kind of just share with you the features that are available for all of them. And look at the layout. If you are going to be typing and using fonts, layout is really important if you're looking for a text-based app. So I just wanted to show you some text apps that all look very different in their layout and their initial presentation. This is Proloquo to go for text, and you'll see from the beginning that I have some phrases here that I can customize. I have some quick talk here in the right column that I can use to give myself immediate speech without doing any talking at all.
Please.
Okay. The customized over here, a quick sentence. Well, I don't have a quick sentence is there for you. Okay. All my contact information, and they come with sentence starters. Okay. So my name is, I could type it in and say that phrase. I'm going to close, whoops, click on the mouse. Sorry, I'm going to close each of these categories to get it out of the way. And then you can see that I can click, touch anywhere down here in the bottom and bring up my keyboard. So now I'm also using my keyboard to say anything that I might want to say, and I can clear what's there. Okay, hello, and it's there.
Hello.
Okay, very simple. Predictable by Therapy Box is also another keyboard. They kind of emphasize in their, they do a lot of wonderful predicting for word prediction, phrase prediction. And they recently had an update which added some key iconic features, which is pretty exciting for the user. So, whoops, you still have access to your keyboard. You also have access to an emoji keyboard. So if you wanted to type with your emojis, you could do that. But then you also have some new phrase predictions. Let's see.
I am almost there.
That's true. I was telling you guys that on purpose because I know we're running low on time. So new features within the Predictable app also make it pretty exciting. Okay, let me, popular apps that are available on both platforms. So Speech Assistant is also a text-based app, but you can get it on all 3 platforms that I listed before. Verbs is a wonderful app that is symbol-based, and Cough Drop is also available on all 3 bases, and I'm going to tell you why very quickly. I'm sorry we're running out of time. Speech Assistant is there because it's a low cost. Really, it could have been in the lightweight version, but it is available on all 3 platforms, and it does give you tons of wonderful customization, as well as the option of adding icons to your phrases. So that's unique for a text-based app. Okay. Avaz is one of those apps I probably would give an award to. And the award I think I would give to Avaz is the most helpful. The structure looks similar to what we've seen in other apps on the outside, but Avaz is a company that is really dedicated to trying to help and support the user. If you open up the settings app in Avaz, you'll see right off the back under support, they have 7 different ways that they want to support you. Watch their videos, take a tutorial. All of these ways are here. And they have different features like
Yes.
Zoom built in, which can support attention deficit, it can support vision, lots of little different features that you can change. They've done their research. When creating this app, you can see it in the margin of the bottom right where we have 4 words listed, where you have the option of just quickly going to just core words and changing your level of language as well. So you can see that here, I'm on level 2 with this keyboard. Their keyboard is amazing with symbol support, prediction, phrase prediction, word prediction, and then your option of putting those symbols into your message window as well. Again, something that can be modified and customized. So you do have lots of options. Cough Drop is unique because Cough Drop is a Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is probably not the best, most technical word, but if you have Wi-Fi, you can use Cough Drop. I'll just say it like that. Okay, you're not tied to any particular device or system. You simply log into your user that you create online, and then you can access this particular system. Excuse me. It has a lot of features that are built into the vocabulary or into the system that makes backing it up simple, using a team-based approach, built-in data tracking, and easy manipulation of your layout. So I have to stop because there's some things that our group leaders, our wonderful host, thank you for letting me speak to you today. I hope that something I've been oh, that was my soundtrack for that was their prize. That was their prize soundtrack. So thank you. I'm sorry I went a little bit over to Laura and Liz. I appreciate you guys having me. And take it away.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you can please fill out our evaluation regarding Bernadette's presentation, you can either scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link that I am going to share with you on the chat box. I will also send you the link to your email once I send that handout in case you do not have time at this specific moment to fill it out, but please do fill it out. The very last question in the evaluation is your email address. If you input your email address, you will be entered for our monthly drawing of a $25 gift card.
Woohoo. Anything else? I think you unmuted yourself. Okay. No? Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you having me.